to the Way Out Recovery Hour. Happy Monday, and remember that asking for help is the first step. You know, we do this show every Monday. I'd like to welcome everyone. If Mondays aren't good for you, then tune into this show every Monday, because one of the things that I like to do is start us off by saying, you know, get grateful. Somehow think about what's going on in your life. Even if you're listening purposely because you're in some kind of trouble and you're wondering what to do and you know this is a recovery show, sit back and think about the things that you can be grateful for, because it's a good practice to get into, and maybe it'll make Mondays a little bit nicer for you. So happy Monday to everybody. Happy Father's Day a day late for all the fathers out there. And the Way Out Recovery Hour is brought to you by The Way Out. We are a relatively new treatment center in Santa Clarita. Our information is 661-296-4444, and our website is thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. My name's Bob Sheritz. I am in studio today. Very excited about our guest today. I have wanted to sit down and do something like this with you guys for a very long time. We have two members of A Light of Hope, which is a local nonprofit organization in Santa Clarita that has been providing groups and support for families, youth, and young adults for how long you guys been around now?
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. And so we have Steve Markley. Are you the program director over there?
Yes, I am.
Nice. Nice title. I'm a program director as well. I love it. And we have Tim Traurig, who is a founder.
President, founder.
Do me a favor, get a little closer to that so they can hear you. And you guys have been around for almost 10 years, for 10 years.
That's right.
10-year anniversary. It's a big deal. Are you doing an anniversary something?
We're going to have to think about planning one. I think we deserve to
yeah, you
have
certainly
some kind of
should.
celebration. It's been quite a journey.
Well, and I tell you what, it's, you know, anytime, what an honor and a privilege for me to sit in this room with you guys and be able to do something like this, because I know what it's like to, what my professor used to call it is in the trenches. You know, you're in there working with families that are walking through the door that have seemingly no hope in the world. And they come to you guys and they say, please help us. Or maybe they don't even come to you and say, please help us. You know, they get dragged in the door and say,
Sometimes.
you know, help us help this person or whatever. But nevertheless, you know, I think the beginning of any recovery process for a lot of families is for them to find some hope. And so they walk in the doors at A Light of Hope and they say, just please help us. And so it really is an honor and a privilege to sit in here with you guys and
Thanks,
be able to
Bob.
do
Well,
this.
thank you for
because
the opportunity, Bob.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
It's, you know, we're helping a lot of people, so what a big deal that is. So before we go any further, let's talk about A Light of Hope. Give us your basic information. How do we get a hold of you? What kind of groups do you provide? What do you do over there?
Well, A Light of Hope is a nonprofit that provides support services for youth 14 to 26 struggling with substance abuse issues, any self-destructive actions or behaviors, and their families. So we have support groups that provide support for each of those youth and young adults and their parents and families. So those are separate groups. Those meet weekly, twice a week on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We also have on Thursday nights what we call a drop-in center, which our young people come in actually at 5:30 if they want. They can have food, fun, and fellowship before they actually attend the group at 7 o'clock. And we really work on getting them to connect to what we call an alternative peer group, which we have realized how powerful that is, a part of an individual's recovery and trying to pull them away from the old peer group. We also have APG activities, we call them, on the weekends, where they may go bowling, to the beach, barbecues, you name it. They go all over and do events and activities that are free. It's all paid for by A Light of Hope. And again, this is an opportunity for these young people and young adults to connect to a positive peer group in a safe, clean, and sober environment and have a good time and really start to pull them away from that negative influence they're so used to in their life, without drugs and alcohol being part of the the mix, which is another thing they've been so used to. So we also have monthly potlucks for the parents and young people as well. The first Thursday of every month, we bring everybody together, all of our families, all of our youth together, and we sit down, eat together, parents bring in food, and we get a chance to really connect with one another outside of the support group setting, which really starts to build up this sober community of support for families and young people as we all connect together.
I was going to say we'll do this a couple of times during the show, but make sure that you put out your phone number and your website so if anybody wants to connect with you, and we'll do that a couple of times during the show.
Okay, that'd be great. They can contact us at 661-513-HEAL, which is 661-513-4325, and they can also reach us on our website at alightofhopescv.org, or they can connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/alightofhope.
Nice.
So we'd love to connect with them and offer them any support that we can to their families and young people.
Well, and it's so wonderful what you're talking about. You know, I love any organization that works with families in particular. You know,
Right.
in addition, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody who doesn't work with families is not doing a great job. But you know, oftentimes, a person who is using drugs that comes into an organization like this may or may not end up getting sobriety.
Right.
But if we're working with families, the family can still continue to heal, and it's so wonderful that you guys do that. And there's nothing like, because you offer the additional stuff besides your groups, the potluck that you're talking about, the weekend activities that you're talking about, the show up early to your Thursday night kind of thing. When you see a kid or a young person or even a family member go from walking in scared, doesn't know what to do, maybe some of them are being pushed in the door or certainly prompted or even forced in the door by whatever circumstances, and to go from we have to be here to we want to be here, you know, is incredible when they start showing up on their own.
You bet.
You know,
That's something we established really early on. If a kid gets referred to the courts or something, we welcome them and say, but you know, if you're not serious about wanting to change, you know, this is a place for people who want it. And by creating basically a standard, like it's not just a place to get a court card signed, though we're willing to do that for you. But if you're really not serious, I don't want the kids end up in the parking lot smoking pot together or something. So
Right.
the idea of the peer group component, this APG, we couldn't do it without volunteers, and we have a great group of volunteers at the parent level who help facilitate, which is we're not a therapy group, we're a 12-step model, problem-solving discussion group, take what works and leave the rest. The support group for the youth is the same. We model what we do from a 12-step model, but we don't ask people to identify as addicts and alcoholics. If they're, you know, get a kid's been smoking pot for 6 months, he's experimenting, maybe abusing substances, but that's different than being a drug addict. And to try to have the help that teaches them where that line is, and if someone's really serious about not having a problem, we don't try to twist their arm to stop. That's up to them to figure out, and that's where the parent group can help, because the parent support group gives some accountability. The parents stop playing the crazy roller coaster ride with them. They get healthy, which at least creates a different way the kid's going to interact with them, because the parents are interacting different with the kid. They're not getting caught up in all the drama as much. So, but I would say the volunteers that don't get paid a penny. I mean, literally, they're out. They're dedicated to whatever their piece of the pie of doing this thing that comes together and creates a support group that, whether the kid goes to treatment in an acute setting like your program or something other than that, we're there before and after, hopefully, for them to have that support group.
yeah. And what we like to do, I mean, over where we're at, I have kids that I'm trying to encourage to go to your support groups while they're in
That's
our
great, yeah.
outpatient, because I mean, let's face it, one of the biggest obstacles that teens or young adults face is boredom and that negative peer influence. And when you talk about You have positive peer support groups. One of the fears that always comes up with people who are going to encourage their kids to be part of Light of Hope or to be part of the Way Out is, I don't want to put them in with a bunch of people where they're going to get worse.
Right.
And when you're talking about, they're not going to be in our parking lot smoking weed. We don't
Right.
put up with that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's important for us to understand that that peer influence is the biggest influence
right.
in that age group.
That's right.
Biggest influence in that age group. And if we just tell them don't hang around with any of those people, it's only a matter of time before they sit there and get so bored and out of their mind that they're going to be doing it behind your back anyway.
Right.
So we want to put them in with an encouraging peer group and have them learn new skills and new tools. And what's neat about that is you get these teenagers and they at some point start saying, you know what, all that other stuff ain't cool anymore. It's being sober and being clean and
Right.
going on with our life, that's the cool thing to do. So let us show you how to do that.
You know, that was the downfall for my daughters. Being a dad of 3 daughters, 2 of which have had drug and alcohol issues, multiple rehabs. We'd spend all this money, send them to great programs, but they'd come back in the community and reconnect with the old
Right,
peer group.
right.
So there was this endless cycle of getting really nowhere, like a hamster on a wheel. And so we realized how powerful it would be to have a positive peer group, use the strength of a peer group, a positive peer group, to pull those young people, in my case, like my daughters, away from the old peer group and get them to connect in a more positive, sober, fun environment, which really helped my daughters to get clean and sober, and is what really spurred us on to start a Light of Hope, was because during those times there was nothing for us out here that really support us the way that we needed. The way we felt we needed to be supported as parents and with my daughters. So we decided to partner with Steve and Free Indeed Counseling and create a nonprofit that provided the type of support that we wish we could have had as parents back in those days.
Yeah, I started off by saying Happy Father's Day, and I was going to jump right into that story right there, and then I realized right now. But isn't that cool to be able to be a dad who's sitting? I imagine yesterday you spent time with them,
The whole family,
right? With the same people who 10 years ago, was it 10 years ago?
It was a little longer, yeah.
A little more than 10 years ago, right? Where you're going crazy,
Yeah,
right?
you were talking about being grateful.
Yeah.
I was really grateful, more grateful than I think I've ever been, to sit in my home and look at my entire family and see my girls, my oldest and my youngest daughter, clean and sober today. You can't be more grateful than
Awesome.
that. It's an awesome feeling to be able to see that. And as a parent, I felt so hopeful. I didn't think I was ever going to see that moment because of the despair, the hopelessness I felt in the middle of all that. I raised my kids in church. I was a fireman for LA City Fire, taught them all the things they need to do. I was embarrassed. I was shameful. When my kids started using and all that started going on, I was like, ooh, I don't want anybody to know about this because this shouldn't happen to a family like ours, right? And it really taught me some important lessons about how addiction works in any family and how important support is for families.
Well, in that experience right there, it's interesting. I responded to somebody's Facebook post this morning, one of my friends who's in recovery, and he was like, without the details of his Facebook post, it was like, he was frustrated and publicly said like, right? And my response was that somebody once told me that God is in the beep too. And we don't realize that at the time when we're in the middle of that stuff, right? Is that this is going to turn out to be one of the greatest tools that I can use and one of the greatest experiences that I can ever have. And who knew that 10 plus years later, you're going to be sitting here going, man, that experience right there has allowed me to help these other families who are afraid to talk about it.
Right.
Absolutely. I never thought that our pain would become an opportunity to help others heal.
Right.
And we kind of refer to those that work with our organization as wounded healers.
Right.
Those that have experienced wounding in their own life partner with those that are trying to find healing in their life and help them to heal.
I think one of the biggest difficulties is what equals success in recovery. The first thing you have to identify is that something's happened to me and I need to be better, right? And so, when I first met Tim, his children had been in it for a while, and that place of giving a young person the dignity to be wrong, that's one of the hardest things. I think if we treat them almost subhuman, they're just the problem, we miss it. You know, we have to give them the dignity to walk through this. And one of their daughters was more stubborn than the other, and there were a lot of difficulties. But
She probably takes after you.
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
she does.
She looks like her mother, though, not like, thank God, But the idea of being able to help somebody where they are, even if they're in denial. Denial is one of the key components to keeping people sick, but to give them permission, okay, you really think that's going to work? Okay, well, let's see how that's going to work for you. And marijuana is become almost not a drug. I mean, if you listen to most people, it's medicine now. It's good for recreation, and it's legal here in California. And from a judicial standpoint, that makes sense. Why clog all the system up with somebody smoking weed? But it's not something trivial to the developing brain. And one of the hardest things is when somebody in their own mind has bought into that this is good for me, it relaxes me, I sleep better. And then when you really start asking how they sleep and how anxious they are, oftentimes they're worse off now that they smoke weed on a regular basis, Mm-hmm. So the reason I bring that up is I think, we live in this valley and we've lost way too many people to overdose to heroin. And, we all want to see that go away. I got sober in 1976. By the time I got sober, heroin was in the barrio, and that was about it because it scared so many people. It went away for a while.
Yeah, it was a different person's drug back then.
Yeah, it was a different person's drug. Yeah. And now, it's a upper middle class drug. And so, anyway, so from my vantage point is that you don't trivialize marijuana just because you don't overdose and die on marijuana. Because marijuana, whether you want to call it a gateway drug or simply that it's going to alter your brain enough that all of a sudden what's logical and normal is no longer logical and normal to me because I'm high. And
well, we have everything built within us to tap into, to be whole, happy, productive, wonderful, grateful people.
That's right.
And whether it is food or pot or whatever, we don't need something outside stimuli to help us achieve that. And one of the things that I think we're in the business of is teaching people how to let's step away from that and see what life is really about. Spending a day with your daughters on Father's Day and shedding tears of gratitude.
You bet.
It's a whole lot better than the old tears that we used to shed in frustration and despair and pain.
And we get to watch that process happen in these families. Watch parents walk through those doors just completely hopeless. And I feel their pain because I've been there and I understand it. But to be able to offer them hope, to give them some tools and guidance, and to watch their lives start to change, watch them get their lives back from the insanity that they've been living in, dealing with somebody that's struggling with addiction, is really an amazing journey to be a part of.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's wonderful to have you guys in studio. We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, let's talk about APG model, what that looks like, how you guys got that, and the success of that type of a model for young people in recovery. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We will be right back.